Imagine a city trembling. Yet nobody warns the people. Thousands die not because of nature, but because of pride. Today, we uncover the horror hidden for decades, a story governments tried to erase. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, because survival depends on knowing the truth no one dares to show. Warning 10. The earthquake that shook the world. At 3:42 a.m. on July 28, 1976, Tangshan, a thriving industrial hub in northern China, experienced a catastrophic earthquake measuring 7.6 magnitude. The ground shook violently, collapsing buildings and factories, swallowing streets, and severing communication lines. Yet the horror extended far beyond the natural disaster itself. Days before, unusual tremors and minor foreshocks had rattled the city. Citizens reported cracks in walls, unsettled livestock, and even odd rumblings beneath the soil. But local authorities, fearing public panic and loss of face, dismissed the warnings. People slept unaware, trusting a state that chose pride over precaution. The death toll officially recorded was 242,000, though many estimates suggest numbers could have been double. Families were crushed under their homes, children disappeared in the chaos. Emergency services were paralyzed, not by lack of resources, but by bureaucratic hesitation. Every second lost meant more lives buried under rubble. Modern parallel. Governments hiding disasters for image control is not a relic. From delayed hurricane warnings to unreported industrial accidents, the same deadly equation repeats: silence plus pride equals catastrophe. Psychological lens. When authority is trusted blindly, warnings are ignored, and instincts are suppressed. The human mind struggles to process risk when society emphasizes appearances over survival. Tangshan became the ultimate testament. Nature kills, but pride delivers the final blow. Warning 9. Foreshocks ignored. In the week leading up to the earthquake, Tangshan experienced several minor tremors. Residents became increasingly anxious as walls cracked and chimneys swayed. Some sought advice from city officials. The response was chilling. These are insignificant disturbances. No need to worry. The message was simple, but deadly. Minor tremors were human signals. Warnings from the planet itself. Yet by dismissing them for fear of embarrassment, authorities condemned tens of thousands to death. Families ignored the shakes, believing reassurance over instinct. When the main quake hit, it struck without resistance. People were unprepared, evacuation plans were non-existent, and shelters were not reinforced. The silence of the authorities created a vacuum of survival, leaving the city exposed. Modern parallel. Early warnings of tsunamis, epidemics, and storms are often suppressed to maintain order, protect reputations, or avoid economic loss. Tangshan's tragedy is a mirror. When warning signs are ignored, nature's fury exploits human arrogance. Warning 8. Pride over protocol. Tangshan had disaster protocols, seismic response teams, and trained military units. Yet, when tremors intensified, officials prioritized image over action. Orders to evacuate or prepare shelters were cancelled or delayed to avoid showing weakness. Soldiers and bureaucrats knew the risks. They understood that lives could be saved if proper evacuation was enforced. But bureaucratic pride outweighed morality, leaving residents trapped in collapsing buildings, streets, and factories. The psychological weight on responders was immense. Witnesses recount hesitation, guilt, and panic as families were swallowed alive. Pride became a weapon, a silent killer, determining who lived and who perished. Modern parallel. Even today, governments, corporations, and institutions delay warnings to protect reputation, often with fatal consequences. The lesson is brutal. When pride dictates action, death becomes inevitable. Warning 7. Infrastructure that couldn't survive silence. Tangshan's industrial buildings and residential blocks were old, brick-constructed, and lacked earthquake-resistant design. Engineers had raised concerns, but acknowledging structural flaws threatened the state's image. When the earthquake hit, the city crumbled. Streets became debris-filled death zones, chimneys fell onto factories, entire neighborhoods vanished. Survivors described ghostly landscapes. Streets littered with rubble, bodies trapped under concrete, screams echoing under dust clouds. Modern parallel. Many urban centers today ignore structural weaknesses to showcase, progress, or avoid political embarrassment. Tangshan's collapse is a grim warning. Pride plus fragile infrastructure equals disaster. Warning 6. Communications breakdown. During the quake, communication networks failed, but not all by chance. Radio warnings were muted, emergency sirens silenced, and phone lines severed deliberately. Authorities feared mass panic could compromise state control. Citizens were left blind, isolated, and trapped. Families could not find each other. Calls for help went unheard, and rescue was delayed. Every lost hour translated to more deaths. Modern parallel. Even in the modern world, information suppression is deadly. Governments have blocked early warnings for floods, epidemics, and industrial hazards. Tangshan's tragedy demonstrates a timeless lesson: information is survival, silence is lethal. Warning 5. Rescue delayed by bureaucracy. When the full extent of Tangshan's devastation became evident, rescue teams were ready, but orders were required. Hours passed as bureaucrats debated optics and proper protocol. During this time, families suffocated under debris. Entire blocks became tombs. Survivors recount hearing neighbors cry out for help, only for the city to remain frozen. Modern parallel. Delayed response due to pride or bureaucracy is a global pattern. From natural disasters in Asia to industrial accidents in the West, hesitation costs more lives than calamity itself. Warning 4. Survivors' stories silenced. Survivors faced not only trauma but also censorship. Speaking publicly about the earthquake could bring government scrutiny, detention, or worse. Families grieved privately, their stories trapped in silence. Psychological lens. Trauma compounds when the world refuses to acknowledge it. Tangshan survivors endured double pain: loss of loved ones and loss of voice. Modern parallel. Corporate scandals, industrial accidents, and environmental disasters today echo this pattern. Those who survive are silenced, preventing collective learning and systemic change. Warning 3. National trauma hidden. Tangshan's tragedy was hidden from public discourse for decades. Photos were censored, videos controlled, and international aid restricted. The narrative was sanitized to preserve national pride. Modern parallel. From Fukushima to industrial spills, governments often downplay disasters to maintain a facade. Hiding trauma not only disrespects victims but also ensures repetition of mistakes. Warning 2. The death toll and the lies. Officially, 242,000 died. Many historians argue the number could exceed 650,000. Discrepancies arose because acknowledging the full scale of failure would have exposed systemic incompetence and pride-driven neglect. Families buried loved ones without record. Rebuilding efforts were shadowed by secrecy. Modern parallel. Numbers are manipulated globally to protect reputations, from epidemics to climate disasters. The lesson is timeless. Truth hidden is lives lost. Warning 1. The city that refused to evacuate. Tangshan's core tragedy. The city never evacuated. Not due to lack of planning, but because warnings were suppressed. Minor tremors were ignored, evacuation orders never properly issued, and citizens trusted authorities more than instincts. Result: the city crumbled while residents slept. Families perished in their homes. Streets became tombs. The world remained unaware for decades. Modern parallel. An open-ended question. How many modern cities sit atop hidden hazards, trusting leaders who fear embarrassment more than death? Will history repeat itself if silence continues to rule? If this story shocked you, share it and subscribe to Top 10 Untold. These lessons aren't history. They're alive today. Stay alert, question authority, and never let pride silence survival.